Picture this: a man from the 4th century wrestling with restlessness, sex, ambition, and the meaning of his own existence, long before Nietzsche, Sartre, or Camus ever put pen to paper. His name was Augustine of Hippo, and his raw confessions feel eerily modern. What if the father of medieval philosophy was actually the first existentialist, grappling with freedom, authenticity, and the absurd centuries before anyone named it? Everyone knows Augustine as the saintly theologian, but few see the restless seeker beneath. In his Confessions, he doesn't preach platitudes. He confesses his failures, his divided will, his search for something real in a world of illusions. Sound familiar? This isn't dusty dogma. It's the birth of modern self-awareness. In this video, you'll discover how Augustine's inner battles mirror existential questions we still ask today. Who am I when no one's watching? Can I choose my way to truth? And why does freedom feel like a curse? We'll trace his journey from hedonism to enlightenment, showing why modern existentialists unknowingly echoed his insights and what they missed. If you've ever felt lost in your own head, or wondered if ancient wisdom can speak to modern chaos, this is for you. Before we dive into Augustine's soul, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Here, we uncover philosophy's hidden connections, linking past thinkers to the questions burning in your mind right now. Augustine wasn't born a saint. Born in 354 AD in North Africa, he grew up chasing pleasure like any ambitious young man. Mistresses, careerism, Manichaeism. He tried everything the ancient world offered, but nothing stuck. "You have made us for yourself," he later wrote, "and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." This wasn't pious poetry. It was hard-won truth from a decade of disappointment. His early life mirrors the existential crisis. Freedom without purpose feels like slavery. He had every opportunity: a brilliant mind, supportive mother, Roman patronage, yet felt trapped by his own desires. This divided will became his signature insight. We want the good, but choose the bad. Knowing better. Sound like anyone you know? Enter the Confessions, written around 397 AD. Not a saint's autobiography, but philosophy's first deep dive into subjective experience. Augustine didn't just describe events, he dissected his consciousness. Why do I procrastinate? Why does memory betray me? How does time warp inside the mind? These weren't academic questions. They were cries from someone discovering the modern self. What makes Augustine proto-existentialist is his radical interiority. Unlike Plato's eternal forms or Aristotle's categories, truth for Augustine begins inside. "Do not go outside," he urged. "Return to yourself. In the inner man dwells truth. The soul becomes the battlefield where authenticity is forged." 1,500 years before Sartre declared existence precedes essence. Yet Augustine grounded this inward turn in something eternal. Modern existentialists often end in despair. Augustine saw restlessness as a signpost pointing home. His innovation: personal experience isn't subjective chaos, but a mirror reflecting divine order. Every pang of conscience, every longing for beauty, these aren't random, they're clues. This restless seeking defined medieval philosophy's starting point. Augustine bridged classical reason and Christian revelation by making the human heart the key to both. Later scholastics built cathedrals of logic on this foundation, but Augustine dug the first trench: inward, vulnerable, real. The man who confessed, "I was bound by my own will," understood freedom's paradox before anyone named it. And when his seeking finally turned to God in that Milan garden, take and read, he didn't find escape from struggle, but purpose within it. This pivot from hedonism to wisdom sets the stage for everything that follows. Augustine's great discovery wasn't God. It was the human will. And what he found there shocked him. Freedom isn't what we think. We imagine choice as liberation, but Augustine saw it as our deepest prison. This paradox makes him the first thinker to wrestle with what we'd later call existential angst, the tension between wanting good and choosing evil. Take his most famous problem, evil. If God created everything good, where does sin come from? Philosophers before him blamed matter or demons. Augustine had a bolder answer. Evil isn't a thing, it's a choice. We turn away from infinite good toward nothing. Evil is the privation of good, he wrote, like darkness is absence of light. But here's the twist. We choose that absence. Freedom means we can love God or love ourselves instead. Every sin is self-worship. This divided will explains why we sabotage ourselves. We know smoking kills, yet light up. We vow to diet, then raid the fridge. Augustine called it concupiscence, desire twisted against reason. Sound existential? Sartre would later say we're condemned to be free, haunted by bad faith when we deny our choices. Augustine beat him to it by 1,500 years. My will was its own enemy. Then came time, Augustine's most mind-bending insight. Physics measures time by clocks. Augustine measured it by the soul. What then is time? He asked. If no one asks me, I know. If I wish to explain, I don't. The past, present, future don't exist. The past is memory, the future expectation, the present a vanishing point. Time lives inside us, distending the mind like a stretched soul. Why does this matter? Because it makes every moment existential. You can't blame circumstances. Your inner time is yours alone. Procrastination. That's the soul stretching toward future pleasure while despising present duty. Regret. Memory weaponized against peace. Augustine didn't just describe time. He diagnosed how it tortures us when misaligned with eternity. Freedom's double edge cuts deepest in his theory of love. We were made to love God above all, but we love creatures instead, chasing shadows of the infinite. This misdirected love creates the absurd, infinite longing trapped in finite things. Sex, power, fame. They promise wholeness, but deliver fragments. Modern existentialists saw the void. Augustine saw the arrow pointing beyond it. What separates him from despair is grace. We can't fix our divided will alone. God must heal what we break. Yet even here, freedom persists. Grace doesn't coerce, it woos. You must consent to be saved. This dance between divine initiative and human response foreshadows every debate about autonomy versus destiny. Augustine's will wasn't abstract philosophy. It explained his life. The man who chased mistresses, chased ambition, chased Manichaean certainty, all proved his point. External freedom meant nothing without internal alignment. He didn't solve the human condition. He named it. We're free to choose, slaves to our choices. Longing for rescue we must accept. This inward turn transformed philosophy forever. Later thinkers like Anselm would climb reason's ladder from faith. Aquinas would build systematic bridges. But Augustine dug the foundation. Truth isn't out there in propositions, but in here, in the wrestling soul. Modern existentialism rediscovered this subjectivity, but without Augustine's compass pointing to transcendence. When you feel that restless ache, that freedom-turned burden, remember, Augustine named it first. He didn't offer easy answers, but honest diagnosis, and a path through the soul's dark night. Freedom's paradox isn't the end of the story. It's where the real journey begins. Fast forward 1,500 years. Nietzsche declares God is dead. Sartre proclaims existence precedes essence. Camus stares into the absurd. Suddenly, existentialism explodes, and everyone acts like they invented the human condition. But peel back the layers. and you'll find Augustine's fingerprints everywhere. He was asking their questions first, with deeper answers they ignored. Start with Sartre. His core idea: man is condemned to be free. No God, no blueprint. You create yourself through choices, haunted by bad faith when you deny it. Augustine nods. My will was its own enemy. He described radical freedom centuries earlier, the terror of choosing evil when you know better. But where Sartre sees a void, Augustine sees vocation. Sartre's freedom imprisons. Augustine's points home. Nietzsche takes it further. Traditional values are slave morality. Kill God, create your own meaning, become the Übermensch. Augustine anticipated this rebellion. His early Manichaean phase was pure Nietzsche, rejecting Christian weakness for cosmic dualism and self-mastery. But he discovered something Nietzsche missed. Self-creation without transcendence collapses into nihilism. You have made us for yourself, Augustine realized. Nietzsche raged against the cage. Augustine found the key was inside all along. Kierkegaard comes closest, the Christian existentialist. His leap of faith echoes Augustine's garden conversion. Reason reaches limits, will must choose. Both see despair as prerequisite to truth. But Kierkegaard rediscovered what Augustine never lost: the personal God who woos the divided soul. Where moderns build anguish into systems, Augustine saw it as diagnostic, the soul's ache for reunion. Camus' absurd man rebels against meaninglessness by living fully anyway. Augustine's restless heart is the same diagnosis. Finite creatures longing for infinite. Camus embraces the tension. Augustine resolves it. The difference? Camus stays trapped in the mirror. Augustine looks through it to eternity. What did modern existentialists borrow from Augustine? Subjectivity as starting point, the inner drama of choice, time as soul distension, freedom's burden. They secularized his insights, stripping the transcendent horizon. Result? Brilliant diagnosis. Incomplete cure. Sartre's nausea without Augustine's grace. Nietzsche's will to power without ordered love. Camus' Sisyphus without the city of God. Augustine's genius was balance. He gave us modern subjectivity, the inner turn that birthed psychology, novels, existentialism itself, without cutting the cord to objective truth. Moderns treated the soul's mirror as endpoint. Augustine saw reflection. They celebrated angst as liberation. He named it symptom. Consider memory, Augustine's forgotten masterpiece. Moderns psychologize it. He theologized it. The mind is extended in 3 dimensions: what it learns, what it retains, what it wills to remember. This isn't introspection for its own sake. It's the soul storing eternity, preparing for beatific vision. Sartre reduced consciousness to nothingness. Augustine expanded it to infinity. The real tragedy. Modern existentialists solved half the problem Augustine mastered. They rediscovered the subjective turn, but abandoned the objective anchor. Result? Philosophy became therapy without telos, freedom without purpose, angst without assent. Yet Augustine's synthesis endures. When Sartre's freedom suffocates, his grace offers rest. When Nietzsche's hammer smashes idols, his love rebuilds the temple. Modern existentialism proves Augustine right. Strip transcendence, and the soul screams louder. They confirmed his diagnosis while rejecting his medicine. This is why Augustine towers above them. He didn't invent existential crisis, he mapped its exit. Moderns gave us the questions, he gave us the human heart that asks them. And when their systems crumbled into despair, his voice still whispered, "Return to yourself. Truth dwells there. But don't stop at the mirror, look through it." So what does all of this mean for you right now? In a world of notifications, deadlines, and constant distraction, Why should a man from the 4th century have anything to say to someone scrolling YouTube in the 21st? The surprising answer is this: Augustine understood the modern mind before it existed. His questions are our questions, just asked in a different language. Start with restlessness. Augustine described a heart that cannot sit still, always reaching for the next thing. Another pleasure, another success, another escape. Look around today. We've simply traded chariots for cars, scrolls for screens, but the pattern is the same. We binge watch, doom scroll, chase productivity, and still feel strangely empty. Augustine would say, that's not a glitch in the system. It's the system revealing itself. The soul is trying to tell you something. He also understood distraction long before social media weaponized it. For Augustine, the scattered mind was not just a bad habit, it was a spiritual condition. His image of the soul stretched across time, pulled toward past regrets and future anxieties, echoes our constant mental drift. When you can't stay present, when your mind jumps from one tab to another, you're living inside the distended soul, he described. And his solution wasn't just focus more, it was reorder your love. That's perhaps Augustine's most practical gift. The idea of ordered love. We don't just think, we love. And our life takes the shape of what we love most. If we love status above truth, we become anxious and fragile. If we love pleasure above goodness, we become addicted and empty. Augustine doesn't say love less, he says love better, in the right order. Put the highest things first: truth, goodness, beauty, God. And the lesser things fall into place instead of tearing you apart. This speaks directly to modern anxiety. Much of our stress comes from conflicting loves, wanting success and rest, approval and authenticity, control and surrender. Augustine's divided will lives on in every, I know I shouldn't, but I still do. The way forward for him isn't sheer willpower, but honestly naming what you love and asking whether it deserves that power over you. In that sense, Augustine offers a kind of spiritual therapy long before psychology was born. He also challenges the modern idea of being true to yourself. For many today, authenticity means expressing every desire. Augustine flips that script. The self you must be true to is not just your impulses, but your deepest calling. Sometimes being authentic means saying no to parts of yourself that are destroying you. Freedom, for him, is not doing whatever you want, but becoming able to want what is truly good. That's a far more demanding and far more liberating vision. And then there's meaning. Modern thinkers often tell us that the universe is indifferent, that we create our own purpose in a silent world. Augustine would nod at the courage of facing that silence, but then ask a ruthless question. If meaning is only what you invent, what happens when you can't believe your own story anymore? His alternative is not sentimental comfort, but a radical claim. Meaning is discovered, not manufactured. You don't make truth, you meet it. That's why Augustine still matters. He takes our most honest experiences, restlessness, guilt, longing, confusion, and treats them as clues, not curses. They are signposts pointing beyond the closed room of the self towards something, or someone, greater. You don't have to agree with all of his theology to feel the force of his psychology. He is inviting you to read your own heart as a text. If the first existentialist was a bishop from North Africa, then maybe existentialism itself has been missing its deepest layer. Augustine shows that facing the darkness inside doesn't have to end in despair. It can be the beginning of wisdom. Because the heart that admits its restlessness is already on the way to finding its rest. You've now met Augustine, not just the saint, but the restless seeker who mapped the human soul 500 years before anyone called it existentialism. His confessions weren't ancient history. They were a mirror for every modern struggle with freedom, meaning, and the heart's hidden longing. What makes him timeless is this: he didn't just diagnose our inner chaos, he showed a way through it. Restlessness isn't random, it's a compass. The divided will isn't defeat, it's the beginning of real choice. In a world that tells you to invent meaning from nothing, Augustine whispers, discover what was made for you all along. If Augustine's journey sparked something in you, if you see your own questions reflected in his, hit that subscribe button now. This channel uncovers philosophy's deepest connections, linking ancient wisdom to the life you're living today. And here's my question for you. Where are you watching from, and how old are you? Drop it in the comments below. Let's map how Augustine's restless heart resonates across the world and across generations, from teenagers wrestling identity to adults seeking purpose. Because truth like this doesn't belong to one time or place. It finds us wherever we are, whenever we're ready to listen.